Meet Claude,
Bonjour.
an executive at a Fortune 500 company in New York City. But his life wasn't always this way. You see, when he was in France, he dreamed of one day studying in the United States. After researching about English exams, he decided to take the TOEFL exam. With his score, he finished high school in France and was later accepted into a prestigious university. The question is the TOEFL exam right for you? Keep on watching to find out. Hi there, my name is Dr. B, and on my channel, I provide English lessons and tips to help you improve your English and connect to your world. If that sounds good to you, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. First, if your test-taking skills are better than your English skills, the TOEFL is right for you. The TOEFL is an exam about strategy. So the ones who have more knowledge about test-taking strategy are going to do far better than those who are just good at English. Let me tell you a story. Once I was teaching the TOEFL and I had an advanced level student who didn't want to take the class. And so instead, he registered for the exam. I then had an upper intermediate student, so someone at a B2 level, and while his English was lower, he really understood the test-taking strategies. Guess who got the higher score on the exam? The student who had better test-taking strategies. The TOEFL is all about strategies, so if you know how to master these test strategies, you can do very well on the TOEFL, even if your level of English is not so high. My second tip is that if you're interested in going to North America, the TOEFL might be the right exam for you. Specifically, if you are interested in applying to an American university or college, you'll definitely need to take the TOEFL. 90% of American universities and colleges prefer the TOEFL exam over any other type of exam. And also consider that many international companies based in the United States will expect that their employees also have a TOEFL exam on file. So if you're interested in working or studying in the United States, you will definitely need to consider taking the TOEFL exam. Next, you may want to consider the TOEFL exam if your receptive skills are stronger than your productive skills. Now in English, receptive skills are reading and listening, and productive skills are speaking and writing. And so you might be surprised that the TOEFL is a great exam for students whose receptive, reading and listening, skills are better. Now, you might ask yourself why? Because you're tested on all four areas. And that's true. The TOEFL is an exam that's about 4 hours long, and you have questions on reading, listening, speaking, and writing. On an average of test takers who have taken the TOEFL shows that lower scores are given for speaking and writing. In addition, keep in mind that you have 4 sections: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. However, on both the speaking and writing sections, you have questions of integrated skills. This means you will need to read a passage, listen to something, and take ideas from both to combine in your speaking and writing. Therefore, if you have stronger reading abilities and listening abilities, you'll be able to get that key information to then apply it for your speaking and writing, helping to improve your overall score and especially your scores in the productive areas. And if you look at the average of how many questions are focused on receptive skills, there are more questions focused on receptive skills than productive skills. Now, you may want to consider the TOEFL if you know how to pace yourself. The TOEFL is about 4 hours long. In the whole grand scheme of exams, the TOEFL is a marathon and not a sprint. The TOEFL is the longest out of any English exam. And in between, there's only a 10-minute break. So think about it. You're kind of working for over 3 hours when you finally end the test by doing not 1, but 2 essays in English. So keep in mind, this is not made for students or test takers who put all their energy in the first section and get tired towards the end. You really need to pace yourself and develop a strategy so that you can finish the test strong. Next, you may want to consider the TOEFL if you're really good at memorizing structures. Now, as a teacher, I do think it's more important to improve your overall English. But I have to admit that the TOEFL uses pre-made structures in their integrated skills and their independent skills, especially in their speaking and writing. Now, you can use these types of structures to help practice and formulate an answer. This will make you more confident when going in for the test. So if you're someone who really needs structure and works really well with an organized way of speaking or writing, the TOEFL is right for you. Have you ever heard the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none? Well, if you're a jack of all trades, the TOEFL exam is right for you. On the TOEFL, the exam tries to imitate university life by covering a number of different study areas. So you might listen to a lecture or read a passage about art history or sociology or business. And so this really benefits students or test takers who have a knowledge of a wide variety of subject areas. Now, keep in mind that the TOEFL only presents really introductory level understanding, so you really don't need to be a master in any of these areas. You just need to be comfortable and have a brief understanding over a number of different topics, and then you'll be better off. Now, if grammar is your weakest area in English, subscribe to my channel. And also consider taking the TOEFL. Keep in mind, the TOEFL does not have a separate grammar section on the exam. Of course, you need to have some knowledge of grammar to do your speaking and writing exams. But overall, as long as you get the main ideas of your content, you won't need to have really strong grammar abilities. Now, if you're a fan of American TV shows and movies, the TOEFL exam may be the right exam for you. Now, keep in mind, on the TOEFL, there are specific questions that ask you about pragmatics. Now, pragmatics is how language is used to convey emotion and meaning. And consider that there will be questions on people's tone, intonation, slang, and function of language. And if you're more familiar with how this is used in American media, TVs and movies, then you'll be better prepared for taking the TOEFL exam. Now, if you're good at using the computer, the TOEFL exam may be the exam for you. The TOEFL IBT, or internet-based test, is a computer-based exam where you will need to do all sections of the exam with a computer, even speaking. Yes, you will speak to a computer. Now, I have some strategies on how to improve your speaking ability when you have to perform for a computer. And so check out this video above to not only improve your fluency, but improve your ability to speak to a computer. Finally, you may want to consider the TOEFL if you're between an intermediate and upper intermediate level user of the English language. Now, as long as you're not a beginner level, you don't need to have an advanced knowledge of the English language. The TOEFL is widely accepted in the United States by colleges and universities of all types. So as long as you have a moderate level of English, you can get accepted in the United States, as long as your overall expectation of universities is open. Keep in mind, if you have an intermediate level of English, you're not going to be able to go to Harvard, but if your goal is just to go and study in the United States, an intermediate level student will be able to do that with the TOEFL exam. On other exams like the Cambridge or IELTS, the bandwidth or the level that is accepted by workplaces or institutions of higher education are much higher. And so in this regard, the TOEFL is a friendlier exam for moderate levels of English ability. That brings us to the end of this video on why the TOEFL might be the right exam for you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing, because in my next video, we're looking at the differences between the present simple and the present continuous.